Folks, welcome back to Drawing Conversation. As always, I am your dedicated nerd, host, and artist, Danny Fisher. And today we're going to be drawing the origin and greatest monsters of Gojira! Yes, guys, today we are talking about Godzilla. And yes, I did say Gojira, because the name Gojira is actually a portmanteau for the Japanese word for gorilla, gorira, and the Japanese word for whale, Kujira. So yeah, Godzilla's kind of a big gorilla whale. Hey, I love it. However, when Gojira was brought to America, it was changed to Godzilla. And honestly, I kind of like the sound of it. But before we get started, folks, I just want to thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. It really makes a difference for this channel. So, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, hit that bell, turn those notifications, leave a comment, but most importantly, share this video. Now, I want to share with you the origins of Godzilla and 7 of my all-time favorite monsters. Godzilla was created by Tomoyaki Tanaka, Ishirō Honda, and Eiji Tsuburaya. The first movie hit the big screen in 1954, and Godzilla was the first to introduce the kaiju genre in Japanese film. Now, kaiju are sometimes referred to as titans or simply as monsters, some standing over 750 feet tall. During this time, Japan was recovering from World War II. After seeing the destruction of atomic weapons firsthand, it wasn't a stretch of the imagination to imagine something like Godzilla wreaking havoc. And the scars left behind from the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki drew direct inspiration. The Godzilla franchise has gone on to create 32 films and counting. What's more, Godzilla has starred in comic books, television, video games, and so much more over the last 66 years. The creators truly hit a cultural phenomenon. So much so, he has even earned a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So keep in mind, Godzilla has been reimagined and retconned dozens of times over the years. And growing up, Godzilla left a huge impression on me. Let's talk about the fictional history and lore of the King of the Monsters. The first Godzilla movie begins with random events happening off the coast of Japan. Fishing ships hit with lethal doses of radiation. Crew members washing ashore, unable to stand, much less speak. And when Godzilla finally makes landfall, he stands 393 feet tall. He lays waste to several coastal cities before returning to the ocean. We come to learn that Godzilla has been awoke by the nuclear testing off the coast of Japan and is seeking revenge for the disturbance to his ancient slumber. You see, the creators were making an allegory that by man unlocking the atom, it was carrying with it unforeseen consequences. Some of those consequences man could not predict and was far more frightening and destructive than we could have ever imagined. Well, in the attempt to defend themselves, the people of Japan set up enormous barriers, fortified by the military. Yes, kind of think like a big Jurassic Park, only they're trying to keep things out versus keeping them in. Well, as you can imagine, Godzilla wrecks right through those defenses and crushes the military. In this display of destruction, we learn Godzilla's power sets. His skin is impenetrable to all man-made weapons. He has virtually limitless endurance, enormous strength and speed, razor-sharp claws, atomic breath that can vaporize cities, and the most important ability has to be his roar. The creators made this iconic sound by dragging a pine tar resin-coated glove across the strings of a contrabass, then slowing the sound down, and there you have it. He uses this roar to signal his arrival and send fear to the heart of his opponents, causing lesser rivals to flee at the sound. As I mentioned at the beginning, he has undergone so many retellings, from his size to his origins, but the one thing that has always remained the same, he is a walking nuclear factory. In the original film, it is Dr. Daisuke Shirazawa has created the Oxygen Destroyer. This is a fierce weapon that finally kills Godzilla. Yeah, that's right. In the very first Godzilla film, they killed him. Now, the Oxygen Destroyer does go on to be referenced in future films, and later is even used to create a super kaiju. That's far down the road. Hey, if you know who that creature is, leave a comment below, and I might have a special prize for you. But the name Godzilla is in fact the name of his species, and the monster would soon rise again. His adventures would be great and plentiful. My number 7 pick has got to be Anguirus, because he's the very first kaiju I ever saw Godzilla fight. Anguirus is an irradiated ankylosaurus, covered in horns, and rows of razor-sharp horns on his back as his primary weapon. His most devastating move was curling into a ball and spinning himself at his opponents. Looking back, it was kind of hilarious, but as a kid, I totally ate it up. And much like Godzilla, he is named after his species. Also like Godzilla, in his first appearance, he's actually beaten to death by Godzilla. However, a new Anguirus shows up and becomes one of Godzilla's most trusted friends and ally. The thing I liked best about Anguirus was the fact that he was always punching above his weight. He was taking on enemies that far outmatched him. And honestly, looking back, I can't think of a single time that he's actually beaten a monster one-on-one. He kind of has to team up with other kaiju. But you know what? There was no quit, and he always showed up. And in the end, isn't that really what counts? My number 6 is Mechagodzilla, first debuting in 1974 in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Now, Mechagodzilla was created by an alien race known as the Simian. And simians, just like the name implies, are a race of ape-type creatures that can disguise themselves to look human. Now, by this point in the Godzilla franchise, he had been reimagined from the mindless beast into the defender of the Earth. And he's not about to give up the planet just yet. Mechagodzilla is first seen covered in a flesh outer and disguised as Godzilla. He meets up with Anguirus, and Anguirus is definitely sensing something's different. The two begin to battle it out. Anguirus is badly beaten and barely escapes by tunneling underground in hopes of finding Godzilla in time. Mechagodzilla is armored in space titanium. Yeah, space titanium, just stay with me. He has everything from I-beam lasers to energy beams to missiles from his fingernails, his knees, and his toes. He can generate force fields and can fly at Mach 5. In the end, Godzilla has to team up with a kaiju known as King Caesar to defeat this mechanized terror. Hey, I'm sorry, King Caesar didn't make the list, but go check him out. Very cool kaiju. Coming in at number 5 is Rodan. Rodan has been one of those kaiju that has gone from enemy to ally, and back to enemy. You see, he operates under the impression that he hates humans only because they hate him. Now, Rodan is capable of flying at supersonic speeds and creating shockwaves by beating his wings. He has powerful attacks and can focus his heat beams out of his mouth. He can absorb smaller animals and restore his health. To top it all off, he is completely unaffected by Godzilla's atomic breath. Rodan's first appearance was in a standalone film, where there were actually a mating pair of Rodans that were wreaking havoc on cities in the process of reproducing the next generation. By the end of the film, it gives you the feeling that maybe they were just a little bit misunderstood. Number 4 on my list is a kaiju from the new Legends Monsterverse. This is Muto. And Muto is an acronym for Massive Unidentified Terrestrial Object. What I found fascinating about Muto is the amazing lore that the creators crafted. You see, in the 2014 Godzilla film, a single egg was found inside an ancient and long-dead kaiju. This egg was planted there by an equally ancient Muto. You see, Mutos are a parasitic monster, and they need other kaiju to act as a host. Yeah, a lot like the xenomorph from Aliens. The egg sits inside of the kaiju, stealing its radioactive energy, growing and waiting for the right time to burst out of its host and start the cycle all over again. These creatures are all legs and limbs, possessing advanced strength, durability, and stamina. They also have the ability to emit an electromagnetic pulse and a sonic roar that can damage other monsters. Now the males are smaller and have the ability to fly, while the females are larger and far more durable. Fun fact, that ancient monster in the Godzilla 2014 film that had the egg inside of it, that just happened to be a distant relative of Godzilla known as Gigan. Yeah, hard to get your head around, isn't it? You know what's not hard? Hitting that subscribe button. Hey, but really, it helps out a lot. Coming in at number 3 is Gigan. Now Gigan is built by the alien race known as M-Space Hunter aliens. Yes, it's yet another alien race from the Monsterverse. They're a bug-like species with advanced technology. Now they can create disguises to look just like humans and are bent on taking over the world. To do this, they have built their ultimate weapon known as Gigan, the cybernetic chicken kaiju. I'm sorry guys, I did everything I could to try to make him look intimidating, but he just looks so silly. I mean, at least in his first appearance. But he's in fact the most fearsome and bloodthirsty of all the kaiju. His most unique feature is a giant buzzsaw in the center of his abdomen. This blade is strong enough to rip through even Godzilla's tough hide. He is also equipped with steel hooks for hands that are his primary weapon. He is capable of flying up to Mach 3, can shoot lasers from his visor, and has a razor-sharp beak. What I really liked about Gigan was that every time he's beaten, he goes back and gets more cybernetic upgrades, and comes back looking even cooler. Making my number 2 is a monster you cannot forget. This is Mothra, and as her name implies, she's a mutated moth. She has made more appearances in Godzilla than any other kaiju, apart from the Big G himself. Mothra is celebrated as a deity in a small island in the Pacific Ocean known as Infant Island. She is a psychic kaiju with the ability to communicate with humanity through a pair of teeny tiny princesses called the Shobijin. She has the power of supersonic flight, lightning, antenna beams, stingers, can shoot silk to trap her enemies. She can create hurricanes with her wings. And if all else fails, she has a kind of kamikaze attack. Not to worry though, she's actually immortal. You see, before she goes into battle, she'll lay an egg or two, and if Mothra dies in battle, the eggs hatch and begin their life as larvae, with the complete memory of her former life. This Titan sees herself as a protector of humanity, and even has the power to unite other Titans to help her in her cause. And number 1 is the many who is one, the Golden Terror. The Titan from space, he is King Ghidorah. Inspired by the fabled Hydra, this monster has 3 heads, each with independent personalities, named appropriately Ichi, Ni, and San, which is Japanese for 1, 2, and 3. This beast is a giant 3-headed dragon that was driven from his home by his older brother, who was already the alpha on their home planet. Ghidorah has traveled through space and has come to Earth to become the new alpha and ruler here. He has a host of abilities at his disposal, primarily his gravity beam, a high-powered beam he can shoot from his mouth that can level entire cities in an instant. He can create energy shields, light barriers, is incredibly durable. He can drain the energy from his enemies and increase his immense strength. What's more, he can regenerate from virtually any attack. He's even been shown to regrow from a small limb remaining into a fully matured Ghidorah. Now, with all of these powers, he has become the greatest adversary to Godzilla. And like I've said several times, Godzilla has been reimagined so many times over the years. But for me, he's always been a reminder of the destructive and powerful forces of nature, while at the same time being a protector of the world and humanity. And this is what has made Godzilla an icon for over 60 years and counting. Friends, thank you so much for watching. Your support truly helps this channel. Hey, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below. Let me know how I'm doing, and I will talk to you again soon.